Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. What's up, everybody? So we're going to do part 6B of the 2022-2023 SHSAT Handbook Review. So I'm in Form B, and I'm going to do some of the algebra questions, I believe. We did most of the arithmetic ones, and I might spin off some by themselves. So let me try to record what we have. So we did 63 already. Let me get this off of here and this into there. All right, there we go. The 64. Let's try that next. So it says if x plus 2y divided by 5 equals 3y, what is the value of x in terms of y? So this is code for solve for x. Okay, that's all that language there means. So that we have basically x equals something. All right, so if you have x plus 2y over 5 equals 3y, our goal is going to be to try to get this x by itself. So a good strategy usually is to get rid of that denominator. So if we multiply both sides by 5, that cancels out, and we get x plus 2y equals 15y. Okay, we need to get x by itself, so we're going to subtract 2y from both sides. That goes away, minus 2y, and we get x is equal to 13y. Okay, so this one's not too bad. There's really not much to say here. And by the way, even though this is symbolic, we can feed that back in to actually make sure. So if we go back to the original expression, let me change the color here for our listening and visual pleasure. If we have x plus 2y over 5, and we replace that by 12y, right? Sorry, 13y. We're going to get 13y plus 2y over 5. Okay, and that's going to be 15y over 5, and that is equal to 3y. So we have a checks and balances to run through here. And a lot of the symbolic examples where we get an answer that's not an actual number, you kind of are hit a wall, because the thing of feeding the question answer back into the question becomes a hard thing to do. In any event, this question wasn't too hard, but as I always say, the problem with the hard questions is they're hard, and the problem with the easy questions is there's easy. So too many students are getting easy questions wrong. And one reason why is you're not doing your checks and balances. You should be doing operations in reverse. You should be doing a sanity check. You should be doing a double check. You should use an alternate strategy completely to solve some of these. All right. So that was 64. 65 is another algebra one. Let me just mark off here the ones we've done, because I'm skipping around. That's algebra. 65 is going to be algebra. Okay, so again, this one isn't too bad. It has a few ways to solve it. It depends which way you want to. So one thing I can do is multiply, get this term here to have a 10 as the denominator. All right, so if I do that, I'm basically multiplying it by 2 over 2. All right, so I'm going to get 2 times y minus x. Okay, and then I'm going to retain the x over 10. So now I have that plus that. So if I add the two of those, I'm going to get x plus 2 times y minus x over 10. Again, this is not a hard question, but for some of you, you may not know how to do it. So I'm just going through some of the painful details here. And then if we combine that we're going to get that's going to be equal to x times x plus, and then I'm going to do a distributive property here with the subtraction. So I'm going to get 2y minus 2x, right, over 10. Okay, and I'm going to combine these like terms here, so that's going to be equal to minus x plus 2y over 10. Okay. So they're asking us to basically do that. And if we want to, we can flip that and do 2y minus x over 10. All right. So if that's equal to, finally, I've been leaving this out, but if we now finally assign it to z over 10, right? This here is just transforming the two terms. Minus x plus 2y is the same as 2y is minus x. So therefore, our answer is D here. Okay. This one's slightly different than 64 that I just did, because if I can feed that answer here, if I can replace the z up here, it really means I'm recomputing the whole question again, right? I'm not solving for x or y in this. I'm trying to find out what the value for z is. So that gets a little slippery there, okay? Another alternate way to do this, which is basically analogous to it. Let me change the color of that for that. I notice I have a 10, a 5, and a 10, okay? So at that point, I can multiply every term by 10. In other words, I'm going to take this whole thing. Let me change this one more time, because I don't want to keep recopying stuff. My handwriting's atrocious. But if I was to take the whole equation and multiply it by 10. So basically, I'm going to run the distributive property on 10 times x over 10, 10 times y minus x over 5. And I'm going to ignore the equal sign, and then 10 times z over 10. So let's do that. So 10 times this term here just gives me x, right? Okay. Now I'm going to do 10 times this here. That is going to give me 2. So that's plus 2 times the y minus the x. Okay. And then I'm going to run the 10 over the z times the 10. That's just equal to z. So if you notice, this is really, if we come down here, these are our numerators that we were dealing with before. All right. So we get that same expression here. So we're going to do the same thing. We would unfold, reverse the distributive property. So we get 2y minus the 2x, and then we have to combine that. And we end up getting the same answer, which is D. Anyway, we have two different strategies. Just in case I made an error in processing the green, I can use the fuchsia to as my double check, my sanity check. And I'm trying to shoot for reliability and correctness and things like that, okay? Let's see, I think we did 66 already. I'm not sure. Let me see if there's writing on there. Yeah, we did 66. I didn't note down that we did, so I'm going to put a D there. So we've done 63, 64, 65, 66 so far. 67 also looks like algebra, so let's do that. And again, the questions we're skipping I did in part A, which is 6A. We're on 6B now. Okay, so if x is equal to 1/4, what is the value of this? When we meet fractions, we could convert this into 0.25, but I do notice that all the answer choices are in fraction form, okay? So what I'm just going to do is just replace it. So I'm going to get 2 over 2 minus 1/4. I'm going to replace it as a fraction. So that's the same as 2 minus 1/4 is 1 3/4. And of course, if we don't want to deal with the mixed fractions, we can convert that to 2 over 7/4. Okay, and I like to take that form and write it in a form like that. So it's 2 divided by 7/4, and this is our traditional keep, flip, change, or multiply by the reciprocal, right? So that's going to give me 8/7. And on the SHSAT, we're supposed to simplify, so we get 1 and 1/7. All right, so this one wasn't too bad again. They're going to give the full gamut of problems, raising from easy to medium to hard, and everything in between for whatever that means. So this one is just taking that value and substituting in there, and it just comes down to division by a fraction is really what this, the probably one of the underlying concepts here that they're trying to test. This is a big theme in grade 5 and grade 6, and it continues on the same. Students get it wrong, you forget the rule, all those kind of things like that. So again, you want those checks and balances and other things like that to be coming into play here. Let me just make a note on here that that was 67. Let's see, is there any other algebra on this page? There's 69, but that's also leaning on inequalities. I might spin that off by itself. There's also 70. 70 is easy enough, even though it's also an inequality. Let me throw that in here. So for what value of x is the above inequality true? That's just solving for x. We can just make believe that greater than sign is an equal sign, even though that's not really the proper thing to say here. I want x by itself, so I think the easiest thing is just to subtract 2x from both sides. That goes away. This just becomes x. And at that point, it's obvious that x is greater than x plus, 11 is greater than x plus 9. Then I'm just going to subtract 9 from both sides. That goes away. Subtract 9. So we get 2 is greater than x. This also means, depending on what form they do it in, that x is less than 2. So most likely that's the form they did. So 70 would be E. That's the form that they did do. All right, so just be careful with those. And we can run test numbers. So if x is less than 2, it seems to me that we have at least 3 scenarios to do. One is when x is equal to 2. One is when x is greater than 2. So often a convenient number might be 10 there, or something like that. And x is less than 2. I tend to like to avoid using 0 as a test number, but in this case, it actually works well. So in this case, we're going to use 0. So let's go through it. If x must be less than 2, so we're favoring this. We want this to be true and this to be false and this to be false, right? So if x is 0, we have 0 plus 11 is greater than 0 plus 9. So 11 is greater than 9. Booyah, it works. So if x is actually 2, we get 4 plus 11. That's 15. And if it's 2 on the other side, we get 6 plus 9 is 15. It's 15 is greater than 15. No, that's false. Okay. So this checks, and we're going to try the one that's greater than 2 now. For convenience, 10. So we get 20 plus 11, so that's going to be 31. And then we get 30 plus 9 is 39. So 31 is not greater than that. So that is also false. So these are our checks. I often get met with, why are you spending time doing all these checks? You're wasting time. You have to get to the next question. That's true. But I know now that I can leave question number 70 and not have to come back to it. I don't need to double check it. I already did all that right here on the spot. And I'm done with it. And I'd rather getting the questions that I did and being confident and sure that I went through the fault tolerantness of double checking, sanity checking, feeding the question back in, all these things, so that when I leave it, I'm settled with 70. I'm happy with 70. I'm not just bing bang booming through these and making silly areas up to kazoo, right? So that's something you guys want to avoid uh, at all costs. So yes, the exam needs to be paced, but if you keep going back to problems, trying to figure them out, making them wrong, and all this other stuff, you could get through the exam in an hour and also get every question wrong. So your goal is to get as many right as possible and also keep pacing along. So even though these sanity checks, double checks, reverse checking, all these kind of things like that, feeding it back into the question, that all slows you down. You can be satisfied that when you leave each of these kind of questions after doing that, that you're cool and you're awesome and you're gonna just not have to worry about question 70 again, right? Okay, so that was 70. Let's see, 71. Um, looks like a geometry question. 72 is geometry. 73 is geometry. 74. Not quite algebra, so we're going to skip that. 75 we did already. 76 doesn't look like algebra either. 77. No, that's mixed decimals. Actually, we did 77. We did 78. We did 79. We did 80. We did 81. 82 we did, I think. 83 we did. 84 is a rate. 85 is something else there. It looks like there's no more algebra here. Let's see what's going on. 87, 89. Let me try to skip through this, otherwise you're just hearing me narrate. 92, I think is 92 where we left off the last time. 94, 95, 96, 97, 98. 99 is statistics. 100 is statistics. 101 is probability and statistics again. 102, 103. Okay, this is the odds are not my favor here. 104, 105, 106, 107. There's got to be another algebra one. 108, 109 is one's constant personality. Geometry, probability. Is 113? What is 113 here? Yeah, let's give 113 a shot. So we skipped over a whole bunch at this point. And again, if you notice in the handbook, they've grouped some topics together. So that may or may not be occurring on your test this year. So let's see. Okay, so this one deals with inequality as well, so we're going to do it anyway. Let me shrink that down a teeny bit to get all the choices on the screen. Okay, a team, let me just make sure it's showing up. It's not exactly in one second. Okay, there we go. A team is participating in a contest to collect canned goods for a food drive. The team has 53 points and must have a total of 100 points to win. All right. The team earns 5 points for each can of food a member collects, which inequality can be used to find X, the number of cans of food. So X is the number of cans of food the team needs to collect to win the prize. So it seems to me that if we start out using this for starters, that the team has 53 points and must have a total of 100. So if we do 100, right, minus the 53 there, we're going to get 47. So the team needs to acquire the 47 points there. each can is going to earn 5 points. Right? The team earns 5 points for each can. And if X is the number of cans, it seems to me we need to be doing something with 5X here. All right? So it seems to me that this missing number of points, that's the number of points we're trying to shoot for, but it's asking us which inequality will get us there. All right, so that's a completely different kind of notion. This actually doesn't really help us per se. So it's the number of points that they have plus 5 points per can, and it says they need at least 100 points. So they want to meet 100 and be greater than it. So that's this here, greater than or equal to. All right. So the answer here would be D as in dog. C is no good because it is the number of points they have plus 5 points per can, but this says less than or equal to. They need to want to go over it. So C's out. Okay. This just A and B flips the order. It's 5 points per can, not 53 points per can. So in that case, that's out the window as well. All right. And then 114 was not an algebra question. So let me note this here. All right. So I'm going to end this stream and do another one with some other aspects of the exam, maybe geometry or something for part C. All right, y'all need to contact me. My email's at the bottom, GregsTutoringNYC@gmail.com. Please like, please subscribe.